Hi, welcome back to Immersive English, where you can immerse yourself in English to a variety of topics. Today's episode, we're going to talk about why you should stop translating and just speak. Here's a simple question. When someone asks you something in English, what happens first? Inside your head? Do you hear the question? Translate it into your own language. Build the answer in your own language, and then translate that answer back into English, word by word, before you say anything. If that's you, here's what's actually happening. You're doing two jobs at once, thinking and translating. That's why speaking feels slow and exhausting, even after years of study. It's not that your English is bad. It's that your process is inefficient. Translation feels safe, but it's the main thing slowing you down. Every second spent translating is a second you're not speaking, not listening, not keeping up with the conversation. Today I'm going to show you why this habit forms, and more importantly, exactly how to replace it. Not with more grammar rules or vocabulary lists, but with a specific daily practice that trains your brain to think in English directly. Let's get into it. 2 ways to respond. There are 2 ways people respond when someone speaks to them in English. The first way, you hear the question, translate it into your first language. Build an answer in your first language, then translate that answer into English before speaking. This takes 3, 4, 5 seconds. Often, by the time you're ready, the conversation has already moved on. The second way, you hear the question and you reach for the closest English thought you already have. It might not be a perfect sentence, but you say it right away, using the words you already know instead of searching for the words you wish you had. Here's a concrete example. You're on a video call with a colleague from another country. She asks about a project deadline. You know the answer instantly, in your own language, but you pause to translate it. 1 second, 2, 3. She says, "It's okay. I'll follow up by email," and moves on without you. Now run the same scenario with the second approach. She asks the question. You skip the translation step and go straight to a simple English sentence. "I think we can finish it by Friday." Not complex, not perfectly worded, but said in real time when it counted. The difference between these 2 habits isn't intelligence or talent. It's one decision. Repeat it, translate first, or speak first with what you already have. A 5-minute daily drill. Fluency doesn't come from one breakthrough moment. It comes from repeating a small action until it becomes automatic. Here's a specific way to build that repetition into a day you already have. Take your daily commute. Instead of scrolling your phone in silence, use 5 minutes to narrate what you see, directly in English, in your head. "That man is running for the bus." "The sky is gray today." "This seat is uncomfortable." No translating first, just direct English sentences, built from whatever is in front of you. This might feel awkward the first few times. That's normal. You're building a new mental pathway. And new pathways always feel effortful before they feel automatic. One day of this won't change your English, but do it for 30 days and you'll notice a shift. Do it for 90 and the shift becomes obvious. This is the same principle behind any skill. Small, consistent repetition compounds. A 1% improvement each day is barely noticeable on its own, but stacked over weeks, it adds up to real, measurable fluency. You don't need a classroom for this. You need 5 minutes and a decision to use them differently, starting with your next commute, meal, or walk. What's actually stopping you? If grammar and vocabulary aren't the main problem, what is? Usually, it's this. You're waiting for a perfect sentence before you let yourself speak. Picture a team meeting. You have a good idea, but instead of sharing it, you sit there replaying the sentence in your head, checking the tense, checking the word order, wondering if will sounds better than would. By the time you feel ready, someone else has spoken, and the meeting has moved on. That's not a grammar problem. Your grammar was fine. What stopped you was the expectation that your sentence had to be flawless before it was allowed out. Here's a fact worth remembering. Native speakers make mistakes constantly. They use the wrong word, forget a name, correct themselves mid-sentence. Nobody expects perfect speech, not even in a first language. So the standard you're holding yourself to in a second language is one that doesn't even apply to native speakers. The fix is a mental shift, and it works like this. Decide in advance that your first attempt is allowed to be imperfect, not because accuracy doesn't matter, but because waiting for perfection guarantees silence. And speaking with 80% accuracy still gets your message across. This isn't a mindset you talk yourself into once. It's a decision you practice repeatedly until it becomes your default. Practice where no one is listening. You don't need an audience to get better at this. Some of the most effective practice happens when nobody's watching. Use time you already spend alone, driving, cooking, walking as training time. Before a real conversation, a call, a meeting, an interview, run it in your head first. Predict 2 or 3 questions you might get asked. Answer them out loud or silently, directly in English. If you don't know a word, don't stop. Substitute a simpler one. This does something specific and useful. It turns a limited vocabulary into a tool instead of an obstacle. If you don't know, postpone. You can say, let's do it later. If you don't know exhausted, you can say, I'm very, very tired. The constraint forces you to paraphrase, which is exactly the skill you need in real conversations. This kind of practice won't get you any credit. Nobody sees you rehearsing in your kitchen. But it's where the actual skill gets built, before the pressure of a real conversation is added on top of it. Say the imperfect sentence. There's a moment many learners are waiting for, the moment they finally feel ready to stop translating and just speak. That moment doesn't arrive on its own. You create it by acting before you feel ready. Go back to that teen meeting. This time, instead of staying silent, you speak. I think we should try a different approach for this. Short, not grammatically perfect, but said out loud at the moment it mattered, and your coworkers hear your idea, not your hesitation. Here's how to apply this practically. Starting this week, pick one part of your day, your morning coffee, your commute, washing dishes, and narrate it silently in English. No translation. For 5 minutes. Do this daily, imperfectly, for 1 week. Apply the same principle to listening. When you watch or hear English, resist translating it into your first language. Instead, connect the sound directly to the meaning, the image, or the action it describes. This builds the same direct pathway from the other direction, from hearing to understanding, without a translation step in between. 2 habits. Practice daily, thinking in English first, and listening without translating. Together, they build the mental wiring for natural, real-time speaking. Here's a simple tool to apply everything from this episode starting today. Call it the pause rule. The next time you catch yourself translating before speaking, stop and ask 3 questions. What's the simplest English sentence I could say right now, even if it's not perfect? What word do I already know that's close enough? And can I say something now instead of waiting for the ideal version? These 3 questions take a few seconds, but they interrupt the old habit and replace it with the new one. Direct English thought, followed by action. Practice this daily. In low-pressure moments, your commute, your kitchen, your car, so that by the time a real conversation happens, the habit already feels familiar. You don't need to wait to translate less. You can start today with 1 sentence, spoken directly and imperfectly. If this episode helped you, like it, share it with someone else learning English, and subscribe for more episodes like this one. In the comments, tell me which exercise from today will you try first. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.